just a few days' time, you'll be crossing the roads with them, helping them to pack their bags and soon checking their homework. We're talking about our children and what's ahead of them and you in the new school year. Welcome to another Educational Thursday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for joining us. As you navigate your back-to-school preparations in earnest, we have lots of help for you in today's show. Coming up, some of the smartest ways to shop for school books while being financially savvy. Also, don't forget that the health of your children will impact their ability to learn. So we are listening to our guts and stopping by the doc to find out why implementing this recommended health practice is so vital. Stay with us. We have so much intriguing layers of information lined up just for you. We'll be right back.
If you are experiencing symptoms of the monkeypox virus, including fever, intense headache, swelling of the lymph nodes, back pain, muscle ache, lack of energy, and/or a rash on the skin, you must self-isolate immediately and call ahead to your health center or doctor before visiting. The virus may enter the body through broken skin, even if not visible, the respiratory tract, or mucous membranes, eyes, nose, or mouth, and has an incubation period of between 5 and 21 days. The spread of monkeypox may occur when a person comes into close contact with an infected animal, direct contact with monkeypox skin lesions or scabs of an infected person, contact with clothing or linen such as bedding or towels used by an infected person, and the coughing or sneezing of an individual with a monkeypox rash. Wear a mask. Frequently wash hands and practice physical distancing as part of the infection prevention and control efforts. For additional information on monkeypox, visit the Ministry of Health and Wellness website at moh.gov.jm or contact the local public health department.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, August 25, 2022. The National Housing Trust, NHT, has delivered 32 duplex units to beneficiaries at Majesty Gardens, Phase 1A in St. Andrew. The development comprises 24 studios, 4 one-bedrooms, and 2 two-story, three-bedroom units. The studios were delivered at a cost of $4.8 million each. The one-bedroom units for $6 million and 3 bedrooms for $8.9 million. Of the 32 housing solutions, 3 have been set aside for the new social housing program, with the rest being given to NHT contributors. At Wednesday's handover ceremony, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said 51% of the NHT beneficiaries were women, while 31% fell within the 19 to 40 years age group. Mr. Holness also revealed that 28 of the 29 NHT recipients were within the 0% interest rate income band, while 1 was in the 2% interest rate band.
The NHT is now targeting is the minimum wage to $30,000 per week. That has been the income group that has not had significant benefit from the NHT. So I'm very happy today that almost all the beneficiaries are from that income range.
The Ministry of Education and Youth, through the National Education Trust, NET, will begin the construction of an administrative block for all schools in short order. This is to improve the working conditions for teachers and administrators. Education Minister Favour Williams says the schools are identified through a database compiled by the World Bank and architecture students from the University of Technology.
There are approximately 1,000 schools across Jamaica with varying needs. As we continue to maintain and improve our schools, you will begin to see better facilities for our teachers and our administrators.
Minister Williams was speaking at a press conference on Monday. She said the ministry would be meeting with principals across the island this week to update them on projects completed within the last school year and those planned for the 2022-23 academic year. Still on education, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has expressed satisfaction with the ministry's announced efforts to address teacher migration, while characterizing the situation as both a threat to public education and an economic opportunity. This is in response to the 167 teacher resignations that have occurred since July, resulting in a shortage in some schools as the new academic year approaches. Prime Minister Holness says the situation highlights the quality of educators that are produced locally and who are in high demand elsewhere.
Maybe whilst we view it as a threat, maybe we need to look at it in a systematic and strategic way to say to those persons who want to take our teachers, pay us to train teachers for you.
Mr. Holness was speaking on Tuesday at an award ceremony for children of employees at the Office of the Prime Minister and the Office of the Cabinet who were successful in this year's PEP exams. He argued that there was very little the government could do to stop teachers from migrating who are not under any obligations in terms of a bond or fees of any kind. On Monday, the Education Ministry revealed that, among other measures, government would be looking to address the shortage through a pool of 964 newly trained specialized teachers, including 121 who are on the ministry's special scholarship program. In other news, 2 new backhoe tractors have been handed over to the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, to provide services to farming communities in St. Thomas and Westmoreland. The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries procured the tractors, which are valued at $38.76 million. The 4-wheel drive vehicles were handed over at Kingston's Agro Investment Corporation facility on Wednesday.
This is going to be used to assist with farm road rehabilitation and also responding to emergencies and natural disasters for land management for crop and livestock, as well as drought mitigation and other major projects.
The backhoes will be utilized for field clearing and pond excavation in St. Thomas, which will be crucial for the upcoming onion planting season. In Westmoreland, they will help to revive earthen ponds for rainwater collection, particularly in the eastern part of the parish, where more than 291 hectares of pineapples are being grown by about 484 farmers. And finally, access to justice has been bolstered by the construction of 2 new state-of-the-art witness rooms at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. The construction of the witness rooms is one of several activities funded under a Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry of Justice and the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office of the British High Commission. The witness rooms are expected to be in operation by September 2022. They are equipped with video conferencing technology, a document camera, and acoustic panels installed on the walls to limit audio escaping to ensure confidentiality. Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn says the facilities will enhance the administration of justice by offering a safe and secure location for prosecutors to interview vulnerable witnesses and where both defense and Crown Counsel can go via Zoom to different courtrooms. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
Every year it seems the answers don't quite run along the same page when it comes to picking up a book in the back-to-school preparation process. Well, we know just the right agency that's willing to walk with you step by step in getting it right. Take a look.
Generally finding enough money to buy everything that the kids need. That's the biggest challenge because the book lists these days are long.
Getting the right thing at the right price. But to back to school, I'm kind of raise the price. That's the thing right now.
High price are one of the main problem, and sometimes the book is too long.
Communication specialist at the Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, Dorothy Campbell, has a wealth of knowledge on this matter. And so we put the question to her. What's the most important thing parents can do when seeking to shop for back to school on a budget?
What we've asked them to do is to plan ahead. So you plan by collecting a list from the schools of exactly what is required. You plan your transportation route, if you're driving, if you're taking the bus. And you also plan how much you have to spend. So you use that list to prioritize what are the needs, what are the wants, what are the must-haves for the first couple of weeks at school. And then from then you determine what is the total cost and how much you have to spend.
Okay, so plan and prioritize. But how do parents even go about deciding the needs from the wants?
The CAC recommends that the parents divide the needs. So you'll have the needs that are, say, uniforms, school shoes, bags, that kind of thing. But you also have some needs prior to getting into school, which are medical examinations, eye tests, because your child might need glasses. You know, some of those things that you might have to do prior to going into back to school shopping. And then you determine what is the best option. Do you need to buy a new pair of school shoes the first month or the first 6 weeks of school? But I think what parents are going to focus mostly on is getting the kids ready in terms of their books. So those are some of the things that we say, try and go get those books first and then determine whether you'll need newer items like shoes and socks and belts and epaulets and ties and so on. But those are necessary if it's a new school. But if it's a repeat, if you're going back to your old school, you just need to top up. Maybe a new uniform or repair the shoes or something like that.
A good reminder that not everything needs to be new. Perhaps one of the most painstaking challenges for back to school is dealing with the matter of textbook shopping.
When you go in, you expect to find something at one price, but you go to another store and you see it at a totally different price, and so people may feel a bit of remorse saying they pay so much here when they could have get it cheaper somewhere else.
Well, there's no need for remorse if parents and other consumers make use of the wonderful and effective tools available to them at the CAC.
The biggest thing on our brag list is our annual textbook survey, and we've been doing it for 20 years. So the research unit is, they're really efficient at this. So that's what we do every year, and we use that to help consumers to go to the website for those who have access and or call the CAC to get information about where the books are available, what is the average price for those books and so on.
In addition to the survey, there is also a price comparison tool.
The price comparison tool is available on our website, and you can go in, select the items, fill your basket based on what you have to spend and determine exactly whether you want to get your science books from this particular store because the prices are low.
In addition to all of that, a tried and true tested way of cutting costs is getting used books. Many schools, churches, and other organizations often undertake book drives that you could look into.
So you can get some of those books at reduced prices.
And don't be afraid to ask around.
Ask your friends, where did you get the khaki uniforms? Where did you get the shoes? Where did you get, these supplies? And you compare those prices, the stores that are either closer to home or closer to your office or your job.
Any other advice, any other tips that you want to share?
Don't get overwhelmed by the book list or by the requirements. Just try to prepare that child for first 2 weeks of school. Just think about the first 2 weeks of school and get him ready.
For more information, you can contact the Consumer Affairs Commission or simply visit their office right here at 34A Trafalgar Road, New Kingston.
Remember those twists and turns of pain just before you started school? When your mother or father would say, "It's time to take the worm medicine." Yes, that's right. Deworming is a World Health Organization WHO recommended practice for improving children's health and nutrition. It's also very important for adults. Find out more in this next feature.
Deworming is the process of giving worm medicine to an individual to get rid of parasites such as roundworm and tapeworm. While the focus is usually on children, adults should also be dewormed. Consultant pediatrician at the Bustamante Hospital for Children, Dr. Sandrika Young-Peart, tells us why this process is important, signs to look for, and the impact of these worms to our health.
When we talk about worms, we're talking about multiple different types. We may talk about the roundworm, the pinworm, or we can talk about the whipworm. And these are just some of the few worms that exist. The worms can actually cause a disease burden on our society, and the complications of having worm infestations are numerous and problematic. It affects how our children may concentrate and may be able to learn. There are actually documented findings that it actually affects your cognitive and your physical development and your ability to concentrate in school. And so it's actually important that we actually rid our children of these parasites. According to the WHO, approximately 800 million children are actually affected by worms each year. So what are some of the signs that a person may have worms? Symptoms could be what we commonly think about, like grinding of the teeth. They may be itching their anus, right? They may actually have weight loss. They may feel very tired and fatigued. And these are just some of the symptoms that may give you an indication that your child may have worm. They may not have any signs at all. Or they can have other signs and symptoms, such as vomiting, abdominal swelling or distension, diarrhea, or constipation. If the worms actually form balls, they can actually block the intestines, and that can either cause constipation and cause the child to vomit. They can also present with wheezing, and we may think they are actually asthmatics, but it's actually the worms that have migrated into the lungs to cause obstruction of the airway and cause the child to wheeze. So how do they get infected? They may get infected either by eating or drinking contaminated water or food. If there is inadequate or improper waste disposal, and if we don't wash our hands before we eat or drink food. And there's a particular worm that you can actually get if you actually walk barefooted. So that is also something to bear in mind. And so it's actually important that we actually give our children worm medicine so we can actually target getting rid of these worms and actually reducing the worm burden in our society. You can deworm your children twice per year. You should actually give them worm medicine, and all the persons who are in the household should also get the worm medicine at the same time. It is important that our adults also be treated or dewormed, because we can be asymptomatic, meaning that we don't have any symptoms at all, but we can still be carriers of worms. And when we excrete or pass our feces, especially sometimes when we do it inappropriately, we may pass out the eggs of these worms. Then our cows or poultry or pigs may actually ingest these when they feed. And then that's a vicious cycle. And should our children be playing in the areas where waste is inadequately disposed, then they too can actually pick up the eggs or the larvae on their fingers. And if they don't wash their hands before they eat, or while they're in the midst of playing, they may actually put their fingers in their mouth, then they too can actually ingest these worms. So how can you prevent your child from getting worms? It's difficult, but there are some basic tips that we can actually do to reduce the chance of our children getting these serious worm infections and having the complications. Basic hand washing before eating our food, allowing our children not to walk barefooted, allowing our children not to play with the pets, especially if their pets are not treated quite frequently. And importantly, proper hygiene. Ensure that our waste is disposed properly. So it's pretty important that we all get on board as adults so we can actually reduce the worm burden and the impact on our society.
Just before we close the pages of today's magazine, we are inviting you to meet someone who was once responsible for the program of advancement through health and education path. Let's look at the journey and work of this public sector figure.
Hi Dunstan, I see you starting your day right. How are you?
I'm good, I'm here, I'm alive in this very, very interesting time in life, and I'm happy to be here leading and navigating through what is one of the most challenging times in the history of this country.
What are your morning rituals?
My morning rituals are like everyone else, I get up, I give thanks, I engage with my family, and I ensure that I link with that philosophy that says, "Thy will be done."
What song is a must on your morning playlist?
I'm Roman Catholic, and one of my favorite hymns is a hymn that repeats Jeremiah that says, "We are called to act with justice. We are called to love tenderly. We are called to serve one another and walk humbly with God." I'll catch you later.
All right. In one sentence, tell us what you do.
I am the accounting officer for the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
What was the most difficult decision for you this week?
Boy, the most difficult decision for me this week was the decision that I had to make to reduce staff complement, because after COVID, some persons who were employed for the COVID engagement, we had to terminate their contracts. And it was sad to see a lot of them go because they were so important to the overall implementation of the COVID campaign.
Do you feel that you inspired or motivated anyone last week?
Yes, I believe I have inspired my team. Morning, everyone. Morning. Morning. And I believe that the other colleagues that I engage with in terms of the regional directors, the regional technical directors, we had very robust meetings over the last couple of days around the budget, and we are inspired to work.
Has anyone or anything made you feel inspired lately?
Yes, I am inspired by the team of persons that I work with here. My special assistant, who gives me all the support that I need. My policy analysts that are assigned to my office, they are such an important part of the work that we do here in the executive office.
What's your proudest career moment to date?
My proudest career moment is working at the PATH program, where every decision that I made during my tenure there impacted the lives of so many people. If it were just improving the payment access or increasing the number of persons that got the benefit, or it could be the opportunities that we give to young people to change their lives through active labor market interventions. Those were very, very, very proud moments in my life as we impacted and transformed so many lives, especially when we talk about the persons who come from PATH households and receive so many accolades in terms of their academic achievement.
What would you like your legacy to be in the public sector?
My legacy will be a change agent, and I want to be a person who sets the foundation for the reform that is so well needed in the public sector. I know that I myself will not be able to achieve all of the changes, but to set the foundation so that the baton can be passed to the next set of leaders coming into the public sector, and they can take it and transform this bureaucracy into a system that provides a lot of support for the people of this country.
Where's the most interesting place your work has taken you?
Ethiopia. I remember working with the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, and under that project we went to Ethiopia to experience what community intervention and enablement looks like. And that was a very powerful experience to see that country move through some of the most challenging times of its history and come on the other side of history looking far more robust and far more sustained and resilient.
What are you working on that you are excited about?
There's a lot of things that I'm working on that I'm very excited about. One of the major things that I'm excited about right now is the intervention to improve and expand our cancer treatment program in Jamaica by ensuring that in terms of radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and other services relating to cancer, we can provide support to people who get this devastating diagnosis, and we can provide the help for a very catastrophic financial hit that families get and enable them to live fruitful and beneficial lives even after coming out of this traumatic experience.
And before we go, can you recommend one book you think everyone should read?
My book of transformation is The Children of Sisyphus by Orlando Patterson. It's a tale of a woman who lived in Dungle, which was what Tivoli was called, and she came out of the Dungle, became a little bit empowered, but then her poverty brought her back straight to the Dungle. So it's an experience of what poverty is and how poverty captures your mental capacities and can disable you if you are not careful and if you do not understand that poverty is a sickness of the mind.
All right, thank you so much, Dunstan.
Sure, later.
Have a good one.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's all the time we have for you today. I do hope you will put into action those back-to-school tips. Remember the value of your child's education from this little gem and never forget it. Silver and gold will vanish away, but a good education will never decay. Want more content like this? Visit our website, jis.gov.jm. Do send us your thoughts about today's show or any other program by emailing us at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. Be sure to join us again tomorrow when we'll bring another informative program. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.